Hi guys, it's Aoife from FradVC Died Laughing and I'm here with my weekly wrap up. I got 3 books read this week and I'm going to tell you all about them now, and the first one being The Chalk Man by CJ Tudor. This is a thriller novel set in kind of 2 different timelines. We are following a group of kids in the 1980s as they basically just be kids during a summer, deal with bullies, and we know from straight off that there was a murder during the summer and the kids are somehow involved in it or know something about it, and we are following a couple of the kids as they are older, and they start getting these messages and it seems like something to do with the murder is coming back around to haunt them. This one for me was like it was a good read. It was a really quick read. I found it really quick to go through. Like, the writing in it isn't too big. It's one of those really fast-paced thrillers which I really enjoy. I realised like there were a lot of kind of like guessing of like who did it, like who could be involved, and I definitely like didn't guess a lot of the things that happened at the end, though the stuff that happened at the end as well didn't completely shock me or scare me in any way. I didn't find this book particularly like scary, like the things that were happening in it, and yeah, it was one that like I enjoyed, but I didn't like love. I wasn't completely grasped on it. When I did find out the twists and the killer and things like that, I was just like, oh, okay, rather than completely shocked. Even though I hadn't guessed it, and like I had been kind of bouncing around between loads of different characters trying to figure out who could have done it. There were some reveals that weren't completely shocking, but yeah, it was just okay. I enjoyed it, and I will go on and read more of CJ Tudor's work, and I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read was The Court of Broken Knives by Anna Smith Spark. This is a high fantasy grim dark novel, and it is the first in a trilogy, and this is following a couple of different characters. We are following a group of mercenaries, and they are going towards the city, and we know they have these orders to kind of ransack the city and kill the emperor, and we are mostly following this character called Marith, who seems to be like this golden boy. He's beautiful, everyone really likes him. He seems to have come somehow from nobility. He's not like just a normal down and out kind of mercenary soldier. And then we are following a couple of characters from the city itself. We are following a priestess, and we are also following a nobleman in that city who seems to have somehow arranged for these mercenaries to come in. And this is kind of a really weird story. It's almost like we're following the villains in the story. Like, no one in the stories that we're following here are particularly good people. They are not heroes in any way. It's almost a little bit, the closest thing I can describe it is that we are following like Tom Riddle before he becomes Lord Voldemort in a way, when he was charismatic and beautiful and could wrap people around his finger just by, you know, smiling at them or looking at them in a certain way. And this is kind of the way I can describe this, in the fact that we know our characters are doing really bad things and our characters aren't particularly good people, but then they say something or they think something and you're like, oh, like they're not so bad, and then you can see other people reacting in the same way, being like, but oh, he's so beautiful. And it's really interesting. This one, I will say, isn't for people who don't read a lot of fantasy. The first few chapters of this, like even the first 10 or so chapters of this, are kind of quite complicated and it's hard to figure out exactly what's going on, but you really kind of have to struggle through the first few chapters to really kind of get into the role of the story and to start figuring out the characters, who you're following, getting a feel for the characters as well and getting a feel for the world that we're in. It does take a while, and it took me a while, and there was a point in this book where I was like, I'm not really sure if this is going to be a good read for me. This could be a 2 stars. I don't really know what's going on. I'm not sure if I'm enjoying it, and then it kind of clicked for me and the ball started to roll and I did start to really enjoy the story and I got really sucked into it. I did find there was a lack of female characters in this one, or a lack of female characters with real voices, and the only female character we're really following is the priestess. And I did find that she kind of was overshadowed quite a lot. She became kind of silent, she became a little bit moonstruck in a way, and I was kind of disappointed with the way she was. I'm hoping she might become more powerful maybe in the second book, but I did find once she kind of became romantically involved in a way, she became really like a basic character, and yeah, she wasn't very exciting at all. And then the other female characters in this book that we even know of are really just a wife of one of the nobleman that we're following, and we know that she's like really scarred from some childhood illness or something like that, and it's mentioned a lot how like she's really hot, like no one would want her, and her husband finds her really repulsive because of these scars, and it's not that nice to read. So she's really the only other like proper female character in it. So yeah, the female character representation isn't great in this one. It's mostly, we're following a lot of men. So I would like maybe in the second one, if we were following more women, that would be great. So this one has a lot of violence. It's a lot of really dark things in this one as well. Like there's a lot of mentions of like child sacrifices, human sacrifices, lots of people dying, lots of horses dying in different battles and things like that. So if you're not really into that, maybe, I don't know, give it a miss, or just steel yourself going into this one, but definitely one for people who have read a lot of fantasy before, not one for fantasy newbies. So I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars, and I did really enjoy it, and I'll definitely be continuing on with the story. The last book I read this week was The Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys. This is a very well-known author. This book is very people really want to read it, and I was able to get a NetGuide copy, and I'm so glad I did because I really enjoyed this one. This book is set in the 1950s in Spain when it was under Franco's dictatorship. We are following a boy called Daniel. He's about 19 years old, and he's come over with his parents. His dad is an oiler, and he's come over with his parents while his dad seems to be doing some sort of oil deal with Franco, and Daniel wants to be a photographer, so he's kind of going out and about in the city and seeing the real side of Spain through his camera lens in a way, and he ends up striking up a friendship with one of the hotel maids. Her name is Anna. She's maybe a couple of years older than him, and they kind of strike up a friendship that kind of starts turning a little bit romantic. We find out more about Anna and her family, who've directly suffered from the civil war in Spain and Franco's regime, and how afraid they are all the time, and how much they struggle, and how poor they are, just like a lot of people in Spain at the time. And we're really seeing this contrast between these rich Americans and these rich tourists coming into Spain and the actual people of Spain who have nothing. And we're also following another storyline of Anna's cousin Puri, who is working in one of the orphanages with the nuns, and she's looking after some of the babies coming in, and she starts kind of figuring out that there could be something weird going on with the babies coming into this orphanage. And she kind of, some of her faith is starting to crumble, because she really believes in Franco, and she really believes in the religious orders as well, and is very religious, and her faith a little kind of, you can see her faith kind of like her questioning. She starts questioning a lot of things as well. So this was a really good book for me, and I really like the slow burn of this, because I think this is a slower novel. It's not, I wouldn't find it, I read it fast, but I found the story pace itself was quite slow. I really enjoyed that because I think it gave a really good atmospheric feel to the Spain at the time. I think the fact I actually always forget that Spain was under dictatorship for so long and struggled for so long under this, and it's something that I didn't really study in school or anything, and it is something that I would like to know more of, and probably read more novels set around this time. So if you do have any suggestions, please let me know below, because I would love to just know more about this, because it's something that I tend to just forget. And seeing the reminder of, and this wasn't so long ago, like this is set in 1957, and that doesn't seem, it's not that long ago. So yeah, I really did enjoy the slow, like, kind of revealing of Spain and the people, and I think the different characters, there's lots of POVs in this book as well, which is kind of a trait of Ruta Sepetys' writing. I really enjoyed all the different POVs. I think we had a lot of different perspectives. We had Anna, who's like the young girl who wants to break free, Daniel, the young boy who's a tourist. We had Rafa, Anna's brother, who's kind of who has had a terrible childhood, but he's striving for more. Julia, Anna's sister, who was like the mother, the worrier. And then you have Puri, who is kind of the one who believes in Franco. She believes in the order of what things are, and you know, she's starting, as I said, she's starting to have questions about that. So we're following lots of different people with lots of different kind of opinions and stuff, and I really enjoyed that as well. I thought Daniel's and Anna's relationship was very cute and slow, and you know, very gentle. I really enjoyed that. The one thing is, the only thing that let me down this book was part 1 and part 2. Part 2 comes in about 80% into the book, so it comes in very late, and I found part 2 a little bit rushed because of that. And then part 2, just something happened in part 2, which is something that a lot of authors do in their books, and it's just something personally I don't really enjoy for my characters. And it just frustrates me a little bit, and obviously I can't say what it is because it would be a complete spoiler, but it's just something that I personally don't like, and so I felt a little bit let down in that sense because of that. But it's just definitely something personal with me. I'm sure some people really enjoy that as well. So I really did enjoy that for the most part, and I definitely recommend people reading this. But I do, like, you know, it is a slower pace read. Don't go in expecting to fly through it. Expect, you know, that slow unfurling of the story and of the country and of the people. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend it. So that is everything I read this week. Please let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you guys again next time. Bye!